Joe Burrow and the LSU Tigers pull off a thriller in Austin with a key touchdown on 3rd and 17 against Texas. Mike Detillier helps us break down Burrow's big day and is there concern with the LSU defense. Plus, the Saints are hoping to start fast Monday night against the Texans, and the newest Manning quarterback makes his prep football debut. In an age of college football spread offenses, right now LSU is 5th in passing yards per game. Last year, they were 63rd. I'm Doug Mouton. Welcome to 4th Down on 4. What's become obvious 2 weeks in is LSU's trio of wideouts, Jefferson, Chase, and Marshall, are elite. And Joe Burrow has absolutely entered the Heisman Trophy race. It was an amazing night for the Tigers in Austin. Andrew Doak reports.
Saturday night in a hot and humid Austin, Texas, LSU got a taste of what it's like to be a part of a classic Big 12 barn burner. It's a style of football that relies more heavily on speed than power, and it often comes down to who has the football last.
We couldn't stop them. I mean, just to be honest, we couldn't stop them, and they'd have got the ball back. I think it'd have been a different story.
LSU will start at the 25.
Following a Texas field goal that made it a 6-point game with 3:59 remaining, the old Tigers would have been searching for a vintage 4-minute chokehold drive to drain every bit of oxygen out of their opponent until the clock hit 0. But this new LSU offense has decided they will be the aggressors.
We knew we were going to have to score again. I kept telling our guys, you know, we got to score. We got to get 40 and we'll win. 40 and we'll win.
I said, hey, man, what do you think about 4-minute offense? He goes, no, we're going to pass the ball and go down there and score. I said, go ahead.
And on the biggest play of the game, needing a conversion on 3rd and 17 with 2:38 left, Burrow and LSU planted their flag and told Texas, come and take it. The 61-yard hookup from Burrow to Destrehan's Justin Jefferson proved to be the final knockout punch needed to drop the horns, and they then added a 2-point conversion from Burrow to Rummel's Jamar Chase to extend their lead to 14. But that drive was more than that. It was an overarching example of the Tigers' commitment to a wholesale change in their offensive philosophy.
LSU, you're not used to that one, huh?
How different is that from the past?
Yeah, it's definitely different from what we did last year. I think we would have kind of tried to pound the run game and, you know, eat up that clock. And you saw it last year against Texas A&M. We didn't get the job done, and they ended up scoring. So I think, you know, we wanted to go in that drive being aggressive, and it paid off.
For the first time in program history, LSU won inside the home stadium of a top 10 non-conference opponent. And another first, they had 3 receivers, 3 go over 100 yards in a single game. But the Tigers were not without their breaks. UT's second drive of the game, Horns running back Keontae Ingram dropped an easy touchdown on 4th and goal. And then a drive later, Burrow was picked off, and Texas was set up at LSU's 4-yard line. But the Tigers would stand the burnt orange up with their backs against the wall. Orgeron called those 2 series the difference in the game.
The Bayou Bengals were swarming.
However, at times, LSU's defense looked shaky, giving up 530 yards of offense.
I think it was a matter of a lot of things. Schematically, they had us. We wouldn't get enough rush. We get beat one-on-one. Guys were wide open. I think we got to go back and look at what we did and evaluate what can we do better.
Lost in the offensive shootout was also a solid performance from freshman place kicker Cade York. He drilled kicks from 36, 33, and 40 yards and made it look so automatic, it probably made many forget that Cole Tracy is no longer in purple and gold. But when it came down to it, this was a battle of 2 elite quarterbacks between LSU's Burrow and Texas QB Sam Ehlinger, who kept trading heavyweight blows.
Phenomenal player. He's better than we thought he was. I thought he was a good player going in. This guy is a phenomenal football player.
I went up to him after the game, told him he played a great game, and, you know, he's a super tough guy. So I was honored to be on the same field with him.
But when it was all said and done, Burrow and LSU outdueled Texas at their own game. And Saturday night, even though it's early, you better believe Burrow officially began his campaign for the 2019 Heisman race. He now has 9 touchdown passes through 2 weeks. It took him 11 games to reach that same mark last year, and he's only going to get better. Andrew Doak, 4th Down on 4.
All right, thanks, Andrew. Joined by Mike Detillier from WWL Radio. Look, Ed Orgeron said before Game 1 that the offense will be great because his quarterback is a game changer. And certainly in the first huge test of the season, Joe Burrow was unbelievable.
Listen, you couldn't script it any better after the first quarter. I mean, he was absolutely magnificent. And that final touchdown throw to Jefferson, that will go down as one of the 10 greatest plays in LSU history. If you watch that play, he's got pressure. He's staring right down the barrel, and he makes that throw. If they turn the ball back over to Texas, LSU's defense is not stopping Ellinger at all. But the crazy thing, I go back to this. This was maybe 3 or 4 days into fall camp a year ago. And Ed told me, he said, Mike, I got Bobby Hebert Jr. He said, listen, he can't talk like him, but that's a short group in that. But he is Bobby all over. Size-wise, arm strength, moxie, toughness. The guys believe in him now. He said he's going to do some things that are a little unorthodox, but he is going to make a play at the end of a game to win games for us, and his accuracy skills are spectacular.
Yeah, and you talk about a spectacular play that was unorthodox. That game winner was unbelievable. To me, the thing that jumped out most, and you knew it, but boy, it was evident against a top 10 team, was how unbelievably good this trio of wide receivers is. Marshall and Chase and Jefferson are an elite set in America, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about it. Alabama has the best group in college football. I think you can make a pretty strong argument. LSU's right there at that 2 or 3 spot. Jamar it was his breakout game. They didn't do a lot with him game 1. You saw it in game 2. And football player that he still has some upside that they think a lot of. And Terrace Marshall is finally healthy. Last year he was coming off the broken leg. We saw his big play ability is tremendous. But the guy Joe Burrow trusts the most is Jefferson. You know, Justin knows where to go. He runs great routes. He's sure-handed. And when you need a big play, Joe is eyeing him up because he knows he's going to get open downfield. The great part about it is I think there's still some things here with the tight end, with Moss, with Sullivan, along with the backs coming out the backfield. Man, this offense is rolling. You better get some pressure on Burrow. If not, he's going to rack you up for another 400 yards each week.
And then on the other side of that, the defense, look, Texas got a good offensive line, but you can play other good offensive lines. You have to be able to generate more of a pass rush in these kind of games. Are the defensive issues we saw Saturday night fixable?
One of the things in the fall, last year, and then he brought it up to me in the spring that's bothered Ed, was the fact that they weren't tackling well, couldn't get a pass rush with a front 4 without sending extra people. Last night you saw it evident again. And then Rashard goes down to the injury where he was getting a good push early. They thought Chason might be able to fix some of those problems. And I think that'll come around. The tackling part, though, Doug, that I think is the biggest concern for him. You saw a lot of yardage after first contact.
Yeah, it was a fun win again, and I came away thinking Texas is a good team. This wasn't a fluky win, and Texas is going to be ranked at the end.
This may be the only loss Texas has all year long. Also, too, I got to throw kudos out. Man, the kid didn't wet the diaper. Cade York,
unbelievable. 3
field goals in those clutch situations.
And they were big when they happened.
And every one of them were meaningful. And you could tell in Orgeron's face, as York's walking off the field, he got that big smile and that, yeah. He knows he's going to need him in those situations. We didn't know. We saw it in practice he was good. Man, but practice is practice. This is big game situations. Cade York, he had the diaper dry last night. He did a great job.
He definitely did. All right, Mike, stick with us. We want to talk Saints when we come back. We are back with more 4th Down on 4 in a minute. Coming up, the Saints host Houston in the season opener, and Mike says it could turn into a shootout in the Dome. But this year's team knows how important it is to win Game 1. And later, we'll show you Newman quarterback Arch Manning's solid debut uptown. The Saints will be thin at defensive tackle. David Onyemata is suspended for Week 1, and neither Sheldon Rankins nor Mario Edwards will play. So that's the weakness. But really, pretty much everything else looks like a strength heading into the Monday night opener against the Texans. Ricardo LeCompte has a preview.
For a team that's experienced some heartbreaking endings, the Saints have also experienced some perplexing beginnings. Over the last 5 seasons, including the last 2 with a Super Bowl caliber roster, New Orleans has finished game number 1 on the schedule with an L.
That's a big deal. You know, we want to start fast. That's just all we've been preaching.
Listen, it'd be really important. It'd be nice to start out in the win column.
It'd be great. I think the last time was my rookie year, 2013. So it'll be great, and it's definitely a focal point for us, starting fast.
A win out the gate, and they'll try to accomplish it on one of the biggest platforms during the season, Monday Night Football. And perhaps a stage like this will put the Saints and the black and gold faithful in a different mindset not seen in the last 5 season openers.
It kind of feels like a pseudo playoff game in a way. It's a lot more energy because everyone's watching and stuff, and it's a night game. So there's just there's a different tempo to it, a different atmosphere.
We're counting on the same electricity that we had the last time we were in that stadium. I mean, they can impact the game, they know that. So we're counting on a playoff atmosphere.
And that atmosphere could be seen inside the Superdome this past January. But even with that loss to the Rams in the NFC Championship game, the Saints 2 deep didn't undergo a major overhaul. Just a little bit of tinkering to the roster. And the 2 biggest additions came on the offensive side of the ball. Now Drew Brees gets to throw to a weapon at tight end in Jared Cook and take snaps from a rookie center in Eric McCoy.
He's the GOAT in a lot of people's eyes, including mine. I've watched him my whole career tear up defenses. So it's still surreal that I get to play with him, get to go out there and play some ball. It's finally here. It's what we've been waiting on all offseason, so I'm excited.
Nerves are going a little bit, not going to sit here and lie to y'all, but I'm excited for it. I'm ready for it. I feel like I've prepared really well this week so far. I'm looking forward to the opportunity.
The 2 want to seize the moment in their debuts. The Saints hoping someone does that on the interior of the defensive line against the Texans. The depth there, an issue, and that could be a problem in trying to make Texans QB Deshaun Watson uncomfortable.
Beautiful cut for the touchdown.
Man, he's elusive back there. I mean, he knows how to find the rush and where they're at and how to escape out the pocket. Got to try to keep him in the pocket and try to crush it on him.
The spotlight will be bright for everyone on Monday night. But when the lights do go out, the Saints just want to end up at 1-0.
Every year is truly a new year because even if you have the same guys, they're at different stages. You kind of ask yourself, like, man, how good can we be? And that's the exciting part when you come to work every day is man, how good can we be? But it's still about the process, and then by the time game day comes around, man, have I done everything I possibly could to put myself in the best position to succeed? And you want that answer to be yes.
At the Superdome, Ricardo LeCompte, 4th Down on 4.
All right, back with Mike Detillier. Thanks, Ricardo. All right, look, defensive tackle is going to be an issue, at least for Week 1 when you have no Onyemata and no Mario Edwards. Sheldon Rankins still coming back down the line. We're going to see a lot of Taylor Stallworth and Shai Tuttle. How big of an issue do you see that as?
If I was playing a team that was running the ball well, I'd have a big concern. If they were playing Cowboys Week 1, I'd have a major concern. The Texans ain't going to run the football. That's not what they do best. They want to throw the football. And I would too if I had Hopkins and Fuller and DeAndre running the offense. So, again, I think they'll try, but this isn't a team noted for running the ball. Lamar Miller out for the year. We'll see how well that Duke Johnson, Carlos Hyde combination can do it, and we'll find out a little bit about those young tackles. I know Taylor Stallworth told me he's ready. He knew it's his opportunity here, and it's the biggest area no one talks about from last year. In 2017, this football team gave up 4.4 yards a carry. Last year, 3.6. Listen, that's almost a yard you trimmed. That's huge in the National Football League. And I know Ryan Nielsen has long told me, first things first, we stop in the run, and then we can do things defensively to get extra pressure or in the coverage part of the game.
And that's why Demario Davis was voted the team's defensive MVP, because he was a big part of that. All right, on offense, how much of a difference can Jared Cook make? Look, the Saints last year had 2 elite passing game weapons and then 3 probably below average weapons when they ran 5 receivers. Now you take one of those below average and make it Jared Cook.
Jared Cook, if he stays healthy, is an 80-catch-plus receiver in this offense. We've seen it with Drew Brees, if it was in San Diego with Gates, in New Orleans here with Shockey, with Thomas, with Jimmy Graham, Ben Watson. He's going to pump the football. Where it makes a big difference is in the red zone. You got a 6'4.5" tight end who's 250 pounds. I don't know of any 6'4" corners or safeties out there that are going to cover Jared Cook. And God has blessed him at his age at 32. Man, he can still run. And that's the thing that's a big key for this offense. No question about it, Doug. He is the difference maker from them from a year ago.
He is so long, too. And you watch him at practice, he gets up for passes you don't think he can reach. What do you think about the Saints' chances Monday night? You like the Saints'
Well, if
chances?
you liked LSU, Texas, you'll like this game. Because I think I think this is going to be a shootout. I think it'll be a 30s game. The Texans are going to have trouble stopping the Saints passing the football. Man, their secondary is not very good. With the Saints, can they get a pass rush? That's going to be the big key, and then containing Deshaun, because, you know, once he gets out the pocket, he's dangerous throwing the football downfield. I think it's a walk-off field goal. I think the Saints win it, but I think it's a similar game to what we saw LSU, Texas, that maybe team with the ball last wins it.
Mike, great stuff as always. It's going to be fun. The LSU game was unbelievable. Hopefully the Saints game won't be that nerve-wracking.
You don't want to bet on that, do you?
Yeah, hopefully they'll put it away early, but you never know. Welcome to football season. We're back with more 4th Down on 4 in a minute. Still ahead, Archie Manning's grandson, Arch Manning, became the first freshman in Newman history to start at quarterback for the Greenies. We'll show you how he did against Lusher on Friday night. It was as hyped as any prep debut you'll ever see. Another Manning is quarterbacking at Newman. Archie's grandson, Cooper's son. Andrew Doak reports Uptown.
Friday night at Lupin Field Uptown, Arch Manning made his debut for the Newman Greenies, the first freshman quarterback ever to start for the program. But what has made even more headlines is that he's now extended his own family lineage to a 3rd generation of Manning quarterbacks. And with that territory comes a lot of pressure and a lot of hype.
You know, we just don't focus on anything on the outside. You know, there's no offers to give. There's no stars to rate. It's really about making him a better quarterback. And, you know, I think really just focusing, getting to know him, became apparent he was ready for this. And, you know, you can't handle all the outside noise, but I think for us, his maturity, his family, that's really allowed him to focus on becoming a better football player. So it's a special night, but I think it's the first of many. And, no, I think he's ready for it.
We caught up with Greenie head coach Nelson Stewart before and after Friday night's game. For those that don't know, Stewart was teammates with Peyton Manning at Newman back in the early 90s, so he knows the Manning bloodline about as well as anyone, and he was right that Arch Manning was ready. At 15 years old, Arch has the classic Manning frame. He's already 6'2" and 170 pounds. And Friday night, he showed off his footwork, a quick release, and touch on finesse passes that were beyond his years. This fade to Jarmone Sutherland got the scoring started, and after 2 drives, Manning was 8 for 9, had passed for 57 yards, and already notched 2 touchdown passes. He would finish the contest 22 for 34, spinning it for 224 yards with 3 TDs to just 1 pick, as Newman knocked off Lusher 41-15 to open the year with a win. And although we had already seen Manning thrive in a preseason setting, Stewart said after the game that Manning showing up week 1 under the lights when it all counted was even more impressive.
Now people have film on you. They're making adjustments. They're really starting to see what you do. So you have to not just break tendencies, but you have to, again, really work during the game to get better process and constant adjustments. So, again, I thought, a nice job, but it's a process. I mean, again, this is the first freshman we've ever started in the history of our program week 1. So that was a nice start.
And just the beginning of what should be a very prolific career uptown. Andrew Doak, 4th Down on 4.
All right, good stuff, Andrew. The prep season is off and running. Our season premiere of 4th Down Friday was this past Friday, week 2. Coming up this Friday, join Ricardo and Andrew Friday night, 10:15. We're back with more 4th Down on 4 in a minute. The Saints and the Texans, Monday Night Football in the Superdome. It'll be fun. Of course, we're out of time. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week on 4th Down on 4.
Eye on the Tigers coverage is brought to you by Metro by T-Mobile, the best deal in